We often hear about the atrocities committed during World War II, but the true depths of manipulation and cruelty used to shape the young minds remain largely untold. What if we told you that the creation of the Hitler Youth involved a sickening level of abuse that will leave your stomach churning? Today, we fearlessly delve into the haunting methods employed to shape the future generation of Nazi Germany, leaving no stone unturned in our quest to understand the chilling reality of the Hitler Youth's creation. Adolf Hitler's rise to power and the emergence of the Nazi Party marked a pivotal period in world history. In the aftermath of World War I and the economic hardships faced by Germany, Hitler's charismatic leadership and promises of national renewal resonated with a disillusioned population. Capitalizing on nationalist sentiments and scapegoating minority groups, Hitler gained popularity and eventually became Germany's chancellor in 1933. Indoctrination played a central role in Hitler's vision for a master race. Recognizing the power of controlling minds and shaping young, impressionable individuals, the Nazi regime sought to mold future generations into devoted followers of their ideology. Hitler believed that through systematic indoctrination, the youth could be transformed into loyal supporters who would perpetuate the Nazi ideals and secure their vision of racial superiority. To accomplish this, the Hitler Youth Organization was established in 1922, initially as the Youth League of the Nazi Party. Its purpose evolved over time, shifting from a voluntary youth organization to a mandatory paramilitary group for boys aged 14 to 18. The primary objective was to instill Nazi beliefs, loyalty to Hitler, and a sense of duty to the state. The Hitler Youth served as a vehicle for indoctrination, aiming to create a generation of fanatical followers who would be physically and mentally prepared to serve the Nazi regime and further its goals. The Hitler Youth utilized highly aggressive recruitment strategies to ensnare young minds into its ranks. One of the most significant aspects of this recruitment drive was the compulsory nature of joining the organization. Under the Nazi regime, all German youth were mandated to become members, leaving them with no choice but to participate. This forced recruitment tactic ensured a vast and obedient membership base. Moreover, the influence exerted by teachers, parents, and the Nazi propaganda machine played a crucial role in swaying young individuals to join. Teachers were indoctrinated to promote Nazi ideology in classrooms, effectively molding students' beliefs from an early age. Parents, too, were encouraged to enroll their children, driven by fear of repercussions if they resisted. Additionally, the relentless Nazi propaganda machine bombarded the youth with messages glorifying the Hitler Youth and demonizing those who opposed it. The indoctrination of Hitler Youth members involved a range of psychological manipulation techniques aimed at molding them into loyal supporters of the Nazi regime. These methods were carefully designed to exploit their emotions, control their thoughts, and create a sense of unwavering commitment. Emotional manipulation played a significant role in the indoctrination process. Leaders of the Hitler Youth would exploit the fears, anger, and vulnerability of young members, channeling these emotions towards a sense of loyalty and devotion to the Nazi cause. By tapping into their emotions, the leaders aimed to create a deep-seated attachment to the ideology they propagated. Propaganda played a crucial role in shaping the beliefs and values of the Hitler Youth. Through relentless dissemination of Nazi propaganda, young members were exposed to a distorted worldview that portrayed Hitler and his regime as saviors and the embodiment of German superiority. This constant exposure to carefully crafted messages aimed to instill unquestioning loyalty and a fervent belief in Nazi ideals. Public displays and rallies were meticulously orchestrated to foster a sense of unity and belonging among Hitler Youth members. These large-scale events showcased the collective power and strength of the movement, leaving a lasting impression on the young minds. The spectacle of uniformed masses, synchronized chants, and powerful speeches reinforced the notion of being part of a grand mission, further solidifying their commitment to the cause. The militarization of the Hitler Youth was another key aspect of indoctrination. Military training and discipline were implemented to shape young members into obedient soldiers and loyal servants of the Nazi regime. By subjecting them to strict hierarchical structures, rigorous physical training, and instilling a sense of unquestioning obedience, the leaders aimed to create an unwavering loyalty to Hitler and the military objectives of the regime. Critical thinking was deliberately suppressed within the Hitler Youth. Independent thought and questioning of Nazi ideology were discouraged and even punished. The emphasis was on unquestioning loyalty to Hitler and adherence to the prescribed Nazi worldview. Dissent or skepticism were met with retribution, ensuring that young members remained submissive and unquestioning followers. Within the ranks of the Hitler Youth, Members were subjected to brutal physical and psychological abuse, leaving lasting scars on their minds and bodies. The organization employed harsh discipline methods aimed at shaping obedient and loyal followers. Physical punishment was a common occurrence, with strict training regimes designed to break the will of the children. They endured grueling physical exercises, forced marches, and relentless drills that pushed them to their limits. The abuse extended far beyond physical torment. Psychological trauma was a deliberate tactic employed by the Nazi regime to manipulate and control young minds. Hitler Youth members were constantly subjected to intense indoctrination, bombarded with propaganda, and forced to swear unwavering loyalty to Hitler and his ideology. Fear tactics were employed to instill a sense of unworthiness and to breed unquestioning obedience. The children were made to believe that any deviation from the Nazi agenda would result in dire consequences for themselves and their families. As a result of this horrific abuse, many Hitler Youth members carried the burden of their experiences throughout their lives. Many suffered from deep-rooted trauma, experiencing nightmares, anxiety, and a distorted sense of identity. The combination of physical punishment and psychological manipulation created a toxic environment that stifled individuality and suppressed critical thinking. The indoctrination of the Hitler Youth had profound and lasting effects on German society, leaving an indelible mark on the nation's history. The transformation of innocent children into loyal Nazi soldiers was a deliberate and calculated process. By instilling Nazi ideology at an early age, the regime sought to ensure the perpetuation of their totalitarian agenda. These impressionable minds were molded into zealous followers, driven by unwavering loyalty to Hitler and his extremist beliefs. The long-term consequences of this indoctrination were far-reaching. For individuals, the psychological impact was immense. Many grew up with a distorted worldview, convinced of the supremacy of their race and the righteousness of their cause. The moral and ethical boundaries that should guide human behavior were overridden by dangerous fanaticism. This blind loyalty to the Nazi regime led to unspeakable atrocities committed by the young soldiers on the battlefield and in the concentration camps. Moreover, the collective guilt felt by subsequent generations weighed heavily on German society. The horrors of World War II and the Holocaust left a scar on the national conscience. Descendants grappled with the burden of their country's dark past, trying to reconcile the actions of their ancestors with their own values and principles. The realization that their own relatives had been part of a regime responsible for such unimaginable cruelty and destruction led to feelings of shame, remorse, and a determination to ensure history would never repeat itself. In the face of Hitler Youth indoctrination, there were courageous individuals who stood up and resisted, despite the severe consequences they faced. Their stories serve as powerful reminders of human resilience and the fight against oppression. From clandestine gatherings to underground education, these brave souls risked everything to preserve their own beliefs and protect others from the grips of Nazi ideology. However, the collapse of the Hitler Youth was ultimately brought about by the end of World War II. As the war turned against Germany, the Nazi regime crumbled, and the once powerful organization faced its demise. The aftermath of World War II brought about a reckoning for the atrocities committed under Hitler's rule, and the Hitler Youth became a symbol of the indoctrination and manipulation that had occurred. The world had witnessed the catastrophic consequences of unchecked indoctrination, leading to a collective determination to never let such a tragedy unfold again. To wrap up, the sickening abuse endured by children to create the Hitler Youth is a horrifying chapter in history that will undoubtedly leave you disturbed. The exploitation, indoctrination, and manipulation of young minds for a twisted ideology is enough to make anyone's stomach churn. It serves as a chilling reminder of the depths humanity can sink to in the pursuit of power and control.